What is going on, y'all? I'm here to talk about my GOAT, Malamar. I'm super hyped to get into these changes and my thought process and how they play. But before I can start explaining all that stuff, I need to have a quick disclaimer for new viewers. If you're returning, shout out to you. I appreciate you coming back. Make sure you drop a comment, like, if sub if you haven't already, all that good stuff. You can always skip ahead like 30 seconds. But for new viewers, I recommend you pause the video and read the description. I've got a bullet point list explaining a lot of the crucial background info about the game. That'll just answer a lot of your questions that you might have about looking at this kind of thing. So definitely make sure you give that a read. And when you're done with the video, you can check out all my other ones. I have videos explaining the game, videos explaining literally everything if you want to listen. If not, you can always just look at the Google Sheet. That has all the information you could ever want on it. Most importantly, I recommend if you haven't done so yet to go to the move guide in the description on the Google Sheet on the nuzlockes, and you can scroll through in order and just kind of get a feel for all these new moves because they're all organized into categories, so it's pretty easy to actually like understand what moves do what now. So make sure y'all look through that. Malamar Inke. So yeah, I fucking love Malamar, man. He's so cool. I'm so happy I could give him like the really cool, unique abilities and moves and rework his stats a bit and stuff. So 550 is the max benchmark I would be willing to give him. There are Pokemon with higher benchmarks, but 2 stages typically are 535 at most, unless like I feel like they make sense to be 550. But recently in Kalos, man, there's been a couple guys who I really just feel like not need it, but because I try to make all the stats make sense for the Pokemon, right? And I feel like 550, like these stats just make sense for him, and I didn't want to put him down to 535, so I kept the 550 on him. You know, it doesn't make the most sense. Usually it's reserved for like most 3 stages, but you know, it is what it is. Fits well enough. And yeah, man, he's got so many awesome abilities to work with. You're supposed to be switching abilities constantly, and you also have, as you can see, an absolutely ginormous move pool with all sorts of utility options, coverage options, stab options, all sorts of awesome stuff on this guy. Stat-wise, he is a mixed attacker now. He is full-blown mixed attacker, which makes sense. I chose sharpness because the Pokedex literally says word for word that his blades are like supremely sharp or whatever. Why is there so many dexited ones? Oh my god. Okay. Where is it? Supremely sharp. Yeah, the edges of its fins are supremely sharp. So there you go. That's sharpness flavor for you. And then Liquid Veil is cool because he's a sea creature. Obviously, he doesn't actually live in the water, although he does live near water in some regions. Like you can catch Inkay near the water, so clearly there is still that connection. Although surprisingly, they don't learn like any water moves naturally, which is besides like liquidation and stuff. And now they have tons of water moves. They're almost like a tertiary water type or a triple honorary water type because of that Liquid Veil. Not only does Liquid Veil give them a much needed resistance because Psychic Dark has no fucking resistances, so that gives them a much needed resistance to fire. It also makes them immune to burn, which is kind of cool to like switch in on Detonate because you have a good special defense stat. Detonate being a fire type, a guaranteed burn explosion, very very extremely scary move for the AI to use against you. So Liquid Veil helps with that, and Liquid Veil also gives you great offensive power, right? With that double on your water moves, it makes your water moves hit like an absolute truck, stronger than sharpness boosted stab in a lot of cases because it's just so high base power with the water multiplier with Liquid Veil. So I think that's super dope to give him that triple stab. It's even more. It's basically as strong as if Malamar was water type and had adaptability. That's how strong Liquid Veil is in terms of damage, like boosting from water moves. Then Contrary is great, mostly for the late game. I mean, early game Contrary is solid because there's a lot of stat dropping moves, and you're not always going to need Liquid Veil or Levitate because you're not always going to be clicking a water move or needing a fire resist or ground immunity. So Contrary can be good just to have because a lot of moves will drop your stats early game. You can switch in and get a stat boost instead. So that's good for early game. But towards the mid game, Contrary really starts to fall off until you get access to. So I specifically gave it Psycho Break at level 40, which is super early for like a 120 power move. But the reason I did that is because you already have sharpness boosted Psycho Cut and high base power Liquid Veil anyways, so I figured giving it some early Contrary incentive is cool, especially because once you get like the Draco Meteor clones, you're not going to ever bother with Psycho Break anymore. So I figured let him do some bulky Contrary Psycho Break stuff for the mid game, mid late game with Psycho Break, which is like close combat, so you get +1 to both your defenses, and you also have healing moves like Strength Sap and or Rehydrate, which is water type recover. Rehydrate, Strength Sap. Strength Sap I throw in there because Inkay, it talks about like Inkay draining the life, draining the will to fight from other Pokemon. So I threw on Strength Sap, and also just it fits their whole weird like psychedelic squid vibe. I fucking love these guys, man. They're so sick looking. I love Malamar, dude. And I love these changes because he's so fucking boring and underwhelming normally. I really never liked the way he plays normally. I don't like it at all, but I'm really happy with how he turned out. I will say I'm not a fan of Contrary in this game. It's pretty broken. I was going to drop his speed to 68, so his Scarf speed tier is a bit less overpowered, but then I looked at the other Contrary guys like Tatsugiri and Gumshoos and Laurentis, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. he can just be broken late game. Level 65, you only have like 10 boss fights left in the game at that point, the last 20% of the game. You get access to Stab, Draco Meteor variants, and you can just slap a Choice Scarf on. You outspeed anything with like a 110 speed or lower, which is a lot of Pokemon, and you can just spam that. The only thing keeping you in check is that you don't outspeed everything. And yeah, you can just spam Psycho Boost and Twilight Cannon. If you got a plus speed nature, you outspeed everything, by the way. You can just click that. And the only thing stopping you at that point is Focus Sashes, and like maybe some other like Priority or Quick Claw and stuff like that. Which is, will be on every boss fight, but you can still at the very least get like 2, 3, 4 kills before you have to switch out. Or you can position to get all a bunch of more kills. It's very, very strong. And then you also have Hydro Cannon, Hydro Assault, Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, Superpower, all of which are coverage options that also drop your attack or special attack by -2. The earliest of which being Superpower and Giga Impact and Hyper Beam. So yeah, and obviously Hydro Cannon and Hydro Assault are incredible with Liquid Veil too. Those are fucking 280 base power with Hydro Cannon with Liquid Veil, so that's incredibly strong. Nukes you can slap on with Scarf or Quick Claw or just run a bulky set. Assault Vest is great on this thing, all sorts of stuff. Speaking of the bulk, so I did tweak his stats a lot to make him more especially defensive oriented, because I think that makes more sense based on his design. I don't think he makes, like his HP makes like anywhere between like 70 and 90 makes enough sense on him, and he has 86 normally. Excuse me, sorry. But first of all, I like the way these stats came out like numerically. I think they're satisfying, with the 73s and the 102s. And I like his Spit F being his highest stat. I just think it makes sense for his design, like this psychedelic squid, to have a high Spit F stat. And then being a mixed attacker. So that's why I had to take out stats from HP or defense. If I'm being real, his speed should not be this fucking high. I only let it be this high because I want Scarf Sharpness and Liquid Veil to be good. For some boss fights, that's good. But if I'm being real, he does not fit speedy at all. He should be like fucking 30 or 40 base speed. This guy, I don't even know how he's moving, to be honest, but yeah, it is what it is, Sometimes you gotta just let it rock if that's what he had to begin with. Although I will say, if he had like 40 speed, I would never in a heartbeat give him this much speed, like myself. But lucky for him, he did have that much speed, so he can definitely take advantage of speedy stuff, and he can still run tanky sets, even on the physical side, right? Especially with Strength Sap and then like Parting Shot. Oh, he's got so much cool fucking versatility, bro. He's so versatile. He can do so much cool shit. You can run defensive Parting Shot, Strength Sap. You even have like Siphon, Mega Drain, the Giga Drain, healing moves early game. Sharpness options. I haven't talked about Sharpness enough. So Sharpness makes him really strong physically. Night Slash, Psycho Cut, Aqua Cutter, Cross Poison, Shadow Claw, Laceration, Leaf Blade, and X-Scissor all become 120 power with Sharpness. First Impression is a priority move that is also boosted, so it'll become 135 power with Sharpness, and then Creeping Strike and Aerial Ace become 67.5, and those are also both priority moves, just like Quick Attack variants, or Shadow Sneak variants, I guess I should say. So those are both really good. But man, that Aqua Cutter is also obviously very strong with Liquid Veil. But a really cool thing about all of those 50% crit moves I just listed, the 120 power ones with Sharpness, is that if you do hold a Scope Lens, they become 180 base power, because they'll get a guaranteed crit. The thing is that that'll only matter if you're slower than, or if you're faster than whatever's in front of you, because otherwise you're not going to run Scope Lens, right? You could do like Trailblaze, Scope Lens, Sharpness, I guess, get a Trailblaze boost, outspeed, and then go for like Psycho Cut, Night Slash with Scope Lens, 180 base power. That's definitely good. But a bit, takes a bit of setup, and it's just kind of, eh. Also, other Liquid Veil stuff, Aqua Jet, Water Gun, priority moves there. You also have Influx, Night Burst, and Sucker Punch for stab priority, but Aqua Jet and Water Gun are very, very strong with Liquid Veil. Inkay, even Inkay is like super strong with Liquid Veil. 87 special attack for the early games is insane with Liquid Veil, and good strong stab options. You've got other cool utility like Topsy Turvy, which is hold on, let me not lie to you guys. Let me double check before I say this. Okay, it is still priority, yeah. So you get a 1 PP priority Topsy Turvy, which is pretty neat, with specifically because of how Swagger and Flatter work. So not only does this just let you check like setup on the AI, right? Because a lot of the time the AI might have like strong setup options or boosting options. So being able to just shut that down with Topsy Turvy is really good. But also Swagger and Flatter now give +6. So what you can do is you can do like Swagger, Encore, Flatter, Shenanigans, and then Topsy-Turvy that immediately and reverse the stat change, so now they have -6. It's very early on, so normally I would say that's kind of mid, even though it's a cool idea. But because it's so early on at level 18, you can definitely take advantage of this, at least versus like Titan Pokemon maybe. I don't know. You can make it work for sure, or at least experiment with it, see if you can make it work reliably. And for those of you wondering, no, Mirror Herb is most likely not going to be obtainable for balance reasons. Also, I don't really like the idea of like punishing setup on AI by Mirror Herbing and cheesing. I don't think it's very fun personally. because I don't like setup to begin with. So yeah, other stuff. You also have Sacred Slash, which is sharpness boosted. That is 135 power, auto crit with sharpness, 135 power, 90 otherwise. Radiant Edge is another auto crit. That's a Wicked Blow variant. So Soul Crush and Radiant Edge and Night Days are all Wicked Blow variants that he learns. And what those mean is that you can't use those twice in a row. So you can't spam Scarf Radiant Edge, but Radiant Edge in general is just a really strong coverage move. Also, Eternal Beam is really strong. That's a recoil move, fairy move. But Radiant Edge is the same, is also special, and also will hit the physical defense stat, which is pretty neat. So they still have use case over one another. And in general, Radiant Edge is just really cool because he's like a glowing squid with like the fin blades, right? His whole things are like glowing and mind controlling, hypnotizing, whatever, like luminescent spots and stuff. So that's why I love the idea of Radiant Edge on him. And I give him some other, Lumina Crash, Lumina, like Lumination. That's why I threw on Lumina Crash there early on as well, because that's the only point in the game you're going to use that shit, right? Because otherwise you get Psycho Boost and Psyblade and all this other stuff. So, in the mid 40s, early 40s, late 40s, you can abuse some Lumina Crash, Night Days shenanigans. They also have Mesmerize, which is a reliable sleep move. It very much fits the Hypnosis aspect that they have going on. They also have early Hypnosis, which is good with Wide Lens. But yeah, Mesmerize is a guaranteed sleep move, so that's super, super good. And it gives you 2 guaranteed turns of sleep. So if you're slower, you get 2 full turns. If you're faster, you get 1 turn, and then you outspeed, so you still get 2 turns basically. But if you're slower, you get an extra turn. Kind of is the way you can. Like, you have to take a hit. If you take a hit first, you get extra sleep turns basically. What else? Torrential Pulse is another Wicked Blow variant. That's a really strong, just like flat 1 or 240 power move with Liquid Veil. Very, very strong. Again, Liquid Veil will often outdamage your stabs at some point in the game, although Sharpness is also great. And the beautiful thing about this guy is that Move Relearner is so fucking good on him because you have so much flexibility to change your sets at any point. You have so much coverage you can slap on him. I mean, look at this, man. And it all makes sense. He's got like the squid vibe, so I give him mud moves and water moves and all that shit. He's got like the healing options, the draining stuff, the fire, burning, jealousy, the fucking glowing, flash cannon, eternal beam, psychedelic stuff. You already got shit like flamethrower and thunderbolt, and ice beam because of the whole water vibe. So yeah, he's got so many cool fucking tools, man. There's a bunch more I could even touch on, but I think this video is going on long enough, and I am trying to bulk record, so I'm gonna leave it off there. I guess also like Will-O-Wisp is sick. And just in general, for Terra would be awesome on him, any Terra type, because you have so many goddamn moves. Like if you get Terra Fairy, now you have sick ass like Stab, Radiant Edge, and Eternal Beam, and Sharpness and stuff. If you get Terra Water, holy shit, this thing is insane. If you pulled Terra Water RNG, that would be very lucky. Terra Poison is sick. Also, Terra Poison is sick as a Black Sludge too. You get the double Black Sludge, double healing leftovers. That's super dope. Fucking so many cool. Terra Grass for Leaf Blade and Energy Ball and Giga Drain and stuff. Terra Steel, all sorts of awesome Terra types you could pull. Literally any Terra type is just cool as fuck. Terra Bug for that Creeping Strike, X Scissor, First Impression, Leech Life. So awesome, man. I would love to use Malamar. So yeah, thanks for listening. I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. Make sure you drop a comment if you made it to the end. Let me know what you think, and I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.